What's something that only losers brag about? People who don't like them, monsieur. Extra points if they actually call them haters. Haters make me famous XD. 2008 was a year that happened. Lots of people were the smartest kid in their high school, man. And most claiming to be the smartest in their high school were not actually the smartest. Nothing more humbling than when you are a bit above average intelligence and you meet someone that is really smart that has worked hard to cultivate it. How he lost tons and tons of money. Just dude, get a life. Dude, I lost so much money at the casino this month. Nice, dude, I have a life-ruining inability to control my impulses too. How many important people they claim to know in order to impress others. I was just saying that to Jamila Jamil the other day. I love how this comment works on multiple levels. How mean they were to someone. They always tell a long rambling story about how dumb someone was and how they told him off. I once went on a first date with somebody who told me a story about how they yelled at a developmentally disabled guy in his self-help group that morning. He was trying to impress me. There was no second date, and he was confused about it. Oh look, a walking red flag. How much they can drink. My brother would do this in high school. And fast forward 25 years later. He'd still do it when sitting with extended family on Thanksgiving. Most holidays would end with him passing out on the couch or him pissing his pants around 6 p.m. monsieur. I can drink several liters of water in one day. My pee is completely devoid of color. I love drinking water. Getting the highest score in golf. The truest answer. I once went on a date with a guy I first met on OkCupid who told me proudly how many other dates he had lined up that week. Just, why? Was it some weird-ass attempt to look desirable? Had he somehow forgotten that I was already on a date with him? There wasn't a second date, which his busy schedule was probably extremely thankful for. It's 100% trying to look desirable and create urgency. He was hoping you would hear that and think that you better get to him now before the crowd does. Same deal as commercials that say, supplies are going fast. Or, this deal won't last long. And just like in that kind of commercial, the deal is never as good as they're trying to make it look. I always used to laugh at those commercials with a timer counting down. How would the call center even possibly know when the commercial ended and the time was up? Not to mention they air a million times. So, super limited sale for the next 3 minutes. Starts over every time the ad airs. Lol, I'm sure some people do fall for it though. It's not so much what they brag about as it is how often. My ex bragged about his achievements when he was in his 20s. All the freaking time. He is sick. All it does is continually prove that he has done absolutely nothing for 40 years. Big L. Honestly, not doing anything for 40 years is probably more of a braggable achievement. I'm upvoting not only because I agree but also because your answer indicates you're in your 50s or 60s and that makes me feel less alone in Reddit. So what are your retirement plans? How great they were at high school sports long after graduating. Back in '82, I used to throw a pigskin a quarter mile. You see it tearing down others for their successes. How much booze they can drink or weed they can smoke. I hate people who think that alcohol, marijuana, vaping is a substitute for a personality. It's not, and it makes you look like an incredibly boring person. I agree, but I haven't met anybody over 25 who's like that and isn't a full-blown addict. We had a housewarming party years ago. A family friend was there and was telling me how to grill the burgers. He kept on and finally just kind of grabbed the spatula when I set it down and took over, saying, "It's just that alpha dog mentality. Cool story, but now you're just my personal chef." So, I got to enjoy playing games and hanging out while my personal chef sweated over a grill in the Texas summer. Asterisk the double reverse beta skedaddle asterisk. Nice one, insisting on how real, or brutally honest, they are. It is dating site, app code for, I am a raging bitch. This is just who I am, and I don't need to apologize for it. It really depends on this. You like horses and pink dresses, Julie. We're in our 30s. Grow up. God, it's so childish. This is just who I am, and I don't need to apologize for it. Like, that would be acceptable. Going to jail, unless you were a political prisoner fighting for freedom in a totalitarian state. Or were a major icon of the civil rights movement and was being imprisoned for a minor traffic offense. And also supporting the heliocentric model of the solar system, monsieur. At school. 1. How his dad could beat up everyone else's dad. 2. How his had a bike made of titanium that weighed 3 pounds. 3. How he had a military-grade digital watch at university. 4. How the woman in the picture was his girlfriend back home. 5. How his second-hand TR7 was better than a Porsche. 6. How his 2 degree was better than a first and amp. #X200B. N. B. Different losers. As a certified loser, I must admit that I brag about my ability to type ASCII faces. That's not ASCII, that's Unicode. Shush, don't tell him that. Chris Rock, I take care of my kids. You were supposed to, you dumbass, low expectation motherfucker. What, you want a cookie? Basically what I was going to post. People who genuinely brag about doing basic things that are expected of you. I pay my taxes, treating people like shit who doesn't deserve it. People who brag that they don't drink water, never touch the stuff, fish fuck in it. In my experience, there are only really 2 types of people who brag about their clothing. The people who brag about how expensive an item was, or the people who brag about how cheap the item was. I wouldn't go so far as to call the first group losers, but the latter group tend to be much more fun to hang around with. 3rd type, girl who has a dress with pockets. My wife's wedding dress has pockets. Years later and she still mentions it. My old roommate bragged about holding a gun to 2 different ex-girlfriends' heads. So that I guess. It honestly terrified me when he told me because he's a 32-year-old man and I'm a 21-year-old female. Edit. I forgot to add that he was on the phone having a normal conversation with one of these exes when he said this. Oh, and his current girlfriend was also there, and GT. It honestly terrified me. That was probably the point. He's a loser who needs to think he's in control of everyone. Their karma on Reddit. I have a lot, by the way. The real measure is karma per month, or KP, monsieur. You, the honesty fish, has 1.8 million comment can't. That's brag-worthy. IMHO. Ignorant. Lol, I don't know that. That's nerd shit. Shit. I don't know that shit. That's some educated shit. Motherfucker, why would I know that? You think I know anything about that shit? Do a day. I dunno, dude. That's fucked up, dude. Anybody who's proud as fuck that they don't know anything, well, they're not a winner. I haven't read a book in 15 years. Goodness, what a fascinating individual you are. I have a 15-year-old nephew who was proud of never reading anything outside of school. I got him to play Ticket to Ride with this, then Settlers of Catan. He started to get interested in bigger games, which involved reading quite a bit. A couple months ago he picked up a book because it reminded him of the cover art of one of the games. An amp, #X200B, he reads now. I'm proud of him, monsieur. How much they haven't slept. Like, cool bro. You're an adult. Go to bed earlier, ya doofus. As someone who struggles with insomnia, I don't understand how this is something to be proud of. I hate the days when I get little to no sleep. Seriously, I don't brag about this, I complain about it. What's worse is that it turns into this game of one-upping, where people try to outdo each other over damaging their bodies and brains. They're like the people who brag about how they never take vacations, sick days, or days off in general. I don't see what is so admirable about being busy and stressed all of the time. IQ, not reading books. Have to admit, When I was a teenager, I had little interest in reading books other than when needed to study. But damn, since I started reading books I found out that it's really addicting at times. I mean, I can understand the angst that comes from required reading. The biggest bibliophile I know was a terrible English student. But I've encountered plenty of adults who are proud of the fact that they haven't opened a book since the end of high school, college. I could totally kick that guy's ass. Bro, I'm so wasted. How drunk someone is. As you get older it sounds even stupider. Dicks are getting into fights. High school anything once they're over 20. Parking violations. Maggots on their sleeves. Shaving with mace in the dark. Saving food stamps. Burning down the trailer park. How little they study in school. The girls in my class used to say things like, OMG I never study. OMG, I'm gonna fail so hard. OMG, I only got A, B, I'm so bad, so on.